What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Sloppy Saturdays. And today we are going over our final conference preview, our actually final preview before college football starts. Week 1 today is started on Thursday. Super excited for that. But we're going to go over our SEC preview. Now, this is not going to be as lengthy as our other previews. If you guys want to look at teams in the SEC that I did previews on alone, go back in my channel. I have pretty much, I would say 60-70% of this conference covered in their own preview. So if you guys want to see that, a detailed preview of a team in your conference, go back and see that. We are going to go over the SEC conference in general, and we're going to go over the 6 teams that I believe can make the college football playoffs. Now, when you were talking about the SEC teams making the college football playoffs, if there's a world this year, which I think there is, where 3 lost teams get into the 12-team college football playoffs, you know the SEC is going to get the first bid. So these teams in the SEC can most likely afford 3 losses. Now, I said this time and time again. Do you want to put yourself in a spot where you have 3 losses and the committee has to decide? No, that's not a great spot to be in. You want to have a 2-loss season or even below that. 3 losses, though, I think some of these teams are going to have a chance, and especially the teams that I have not in the top 3 of the conference, those are teams you're really looking at, 3-loss teams making a bid for the college football playoffs. Anyway, let's go over some teams very quickly and very light that did not make my college football playoff contenders. Now, the first team that I think is going to really shock you guys is Florida. I don't trust Florida. I don't think Florida really can contend in this conference. I think their schedule is an absolute gauntlet. And I've said it time and time again, I want to see more out of DJ Lagway. When you look at DJ Lagway last year, he had a ton of careless turnovers. We've been talking about 12 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. I said it time and time again, the Tulane game, he was making very bad decisions. Not only that, Florida's on a hot seat. I think they have a lot of pressure. I mentioned the gauntlet of a schedule they have in the SEC. I don't think in totality as a team, they could really make it out as SEC and make the college football playoffs. I think they're getting a lot of hype because of DJ Lagway. And DJ Lagway, I'm not 100% sure on how he's going to start the season. If he's going to start the season hot, because this is a guy that has been injured all off season. This guy's been injured basically his whole college football career. You get into the questions if he's injury prone or not. But like I said, in totality, I don't trust Florida to make the college football playoffs. I don't want to put them in as a possibility, in my opinion. I think it's a little more of a long shot. Auburn is a team I really like. When you look at Cam Coleman, Singleton, Jackson Arnold, I think they are one of the most improved teams in college football. I think they're a team that could definitely be a 4-loss team in the SEC. When you look at their schedule, when you look at the improvements they made, I really like them, and I think they're going in the right direction. I just don't think they're college football playoff material in the SEC. Arkansas, they should be fun, but they're probably going to be at the bottom of this conference. We talked about Taylor Green time and time again. Probably the most physical gifted quarterback in college football, just with everything, his size, his speed, his arm strength. But it's going to be interesting to see if he could put it together. He is going to be very fun to watch, though. Missouri, again, another improved team. Missouri was a team that we had high expectations for last year when you looked at Luther Burden, when you looked at Brady Cook. Very underwhelming season. But again, now they have Bo Prabula, who I'm very excited to see. Again, in the SEC, do I think they make the college football playoffs? Probably not. Oklahoma, another team that I think has a very difficult schedule. We have said it. They played like 6 pretty difficult games. I don't know if they're going to be able to have a 3-loss season and make a bid for it. I really don't think so. Again, another improved team when you look at John Mateer, arguably the best transfer portal quarterback in the country. It's also going to be very interesting to see his situation with the Venmo transfers that we went over. Is he going to get some type of suspension? I don't know. With all that considered, I don't have Oklahoma making the college football playoffs or even a possibility. South Carolina was really teeter-tottering for me and putting them in college football playoff possibility, but I just don't think they're going to make it. I think they're very exciting for sure. When you look at Lenore Sellers, probably the most polarizing skill set in the country. Nick Harbor, a great physical receiver. Dylan Stewart, arguably the most exciting defensive player in the country. I think they have a lot of talent. I just don't think they have the depth as both units are to make the college football playoffs, in my opinion. They play some tough games. I don't trust them to lose 3 games. I still think they're going to lose like 4 games. I don't think they have it all figured out. And I said it time and time again, I think Lenore Sellers is a better prospect than he is a college football quarterback. In our top 10 list, we had him, I think, at 7 because of his physical gifts. But again, can he put it together? Can he be one of the best college football quarterbacks? Like, again, I don't have him in the same tier as like a Garrett Nussmeier and Arch Manning. I just don't. Prospect-wise, he's right there with them, but what he has to put together right now, I just don't think so. And again, I don't think this team has enough depth. That's why they didn't make it. Tennessee, another very interesting case. I think Tennessee, how do I want to say this? I think Tennessee made the right decision not making Nico Umeulava walk all over them. But at the same time, I think it's going to hurt them tremendously, and I think it takes them out of college football playoff contention. I don't trust Joey Aguilar to come in with the offense that they had last year with Dylan Sampson carrying an offense. Now he's gone, Dante Thornton gone as well. They have turnover on this offense. You're bringing in the App State transfer instead of Nico Umeulava that was a complete 5-star. I don't think they're going to have enough on offense. I think the defense is going to be really good, but I don't think they're going to be able to score with these top SEC teams. That's why I don't have them in it. Even though, like I said, I think they made the right decision not letting Nico Umeulava walk all over them. But at the time that it happened, I think it's going to hurt them tremendously because I don't think Joey Aguilar is going to take this team to the college football playoffs at all. I think that's it. I think we went over everybody I wanted to go over that's outside the bubble. Now let's get into who is inside the bubble. The first team I have that has a possibility of making the college football playoffs, in my opinion, for sure, is Texas A&M. I really like Texas A&M's defense. I think Texas A&M was one of the best defensive units last year when we saw what they did to Texas and other big opponents, holding a ton of opponents under 20 points. Texas A&M defense is always really good, and with the return talent they have and the transfers, I think their defense is going to remain really good. I think the biggest question for Texas A&M, putting them in the college football playoffs and beyond, is this offense. I do like Marcel Reed. I think Marcel Reed really brings a threat to opponents with his ability to run the ball, and he has enough passing the ball. But I want to see him take even more of a hold on his offense passing the ball. That's going to be the difference to take Texas A&M to the next step to make the college football playoffs and possibly win a game or two in the college football playoffs. It's going to be how Marcel Reed develops. Last year he comes in unexpectedly because Connor Wegman was supposed to be this guy that we all thought was going to take Texas A&M to the college football playoffs. He flamed out. Marcel Reed came in, and like I said, I think Marcel Reed was pretty good last year. Like I said, he brings a threat running the football, which opens up the passing game, and I don't think he was as underdeveloped as a passer as I originally thought he would be. Now I want to see him take true improvements in the passing game. That's what's going to make Texas A&M hit their ceiling if he's able to develop even more to this next step as a passer. And in the offense, I like some of the stars they have in this offense. Casey Concepcion is a guy that we believe could be a top 10 receiver in the country. He's a huge transfer at. This is a guy, his connection with Marcel Reed could develop Marcel Reed tremendously. And then Le'Veon Moss, the senior year as well. He had double-digit touchdowns last year, 900-plus yards. I think he's going to take an even bigger step up and be possibly a top 15 running back in the country. And he's going to be benefiting off of Marcel Reed for sure. Marcel Reed being a mobile quarterback, Le'Veon Moss is going to develop in the RPO game as well. I like this offense. You see the returns on the offensive line as well. I think the offense is going to take a step up from last year. I think this defense is still going to be really good. I think this team definitely has the potential to be a 3-loss team and sneak into the college football playoffs. When we look at this schedule, I'm just going to highlight tough games for all these teams in their schedule. You're looking at Notre Dame is definitely a tough out-of-conference game. Florida's a tough game. LSU's a tough game. South Carolina's a tough game. And Texas is a tough game. Now, besides Texas and probably LSU, I could see them winning the rest of these games. So you could see them, if they win 3 out of these 5 games, they could have 2 losses. 2 out of 5 have 3 losses. And I think with their schedule, those tough games, they could definitely sneak in. Now, they play Auburn, which I think is going to be a tough game as well that I didn't highlight. I do think they're a better team there. That's going to be a little bit of a tough game as well. But again, you're looking at a team that wins 3 out of 6. You could see them in the college football playoffs. Like I said, I think their defense is going to be really good. I think the offense is going to take a step up with Marcel Reed development is just going to be how much is he going to develop, but the pieces around him I really like as well. I like this team a lot. Then we get into Ole Miss. Ole Miss is a team that definitely has some question marks, but I trust the coach in Lane Kiffin to make a push for the college football playoffs. Now, you may say last year they had a great team. They should have made it last year. I 100% agree, but I still think Lane Kiffin is one of the best coaches in the sport. I think the defense is going to be really good. I am really high on Austin Simmons because when we seen Austin Simmons come in that Georgia game, he was poised. He led a touchdown drive. He was in a huge spot. He didn't look overshadowed by the moment. So I really trust Austin Simmons to come in day one and be really good. Now, when you look at the rest of this offense, they bring in Deshaun Stribling. He has significant college football production. They bring in Harrison Wallace. He has significant college football production out of Penn State. And then they have Caden Lee developing as well, coming back from last year. Logan Diggs at the running back spot is a high upside running back transfer. When we look at where he came from, LSU, Notre Dame. So, again, this offense has a lot of new pieces. When you look at it last year with Jackson Dart, with Trey Harris, with Antron Wells, a lot of turnover. But I think this offense still has the talent, and I think this defense is really good. Again, it's just going to be how does Austin Simmons come out as a first-time starter. But I said it time and time again, I really like Austin Simmons a lot. I think Austin Simmons is going to be very good. Now let me get into Ole Miss's schedule. For a second, I couldn't find them here. Let's see what tough games they play. They play LSU. That's going to be a tough game. But again, it's possible they could win for sure. That's going to be a short line game. Actually, it says LSU -2. Ole Miss is home. Short line game, like we said. They play Georgia. Very tough game. Oklahoma, South Carolina, Florida. Those are the tough games. 5 tough games. All they need to do is win 2 out of the 5 to possibly make a push for the college football playoffs. 3 out of the 5, and they win all the games they should have. They will definitely be in the college football playoffs. With their schedule, like I said, with how high I'm in on Austin Simmons, with how high I'm on the coach, Lane Kiffin, again, they have a pathway to make the college football playoffs for sure. I like Ole Miss a lot. When we talk about LSU, we have talked about LSU time and time again. LSU, in my opinion, has a very tough schedule, and I don't trust LSU's defense at all, and I'm not in love with Brian Kelly. But this offense is just too damn good to miss out of the college football playoffs. Like, I do not want to see a world where LSU misses the college football playoffs. Garrett Nussmeier is a complete star. He's the biggest gunslinger in the country. This offense is going to be insanely fun to watch. But is there a world this team doesn't make the college football playoffs? Yes, 100%. They have a tough schedule. We know they play Clemson, one of the toughest out-of-conference opponents you could play week 1. So they have a tough schedule. Do I have to go over their offense? We went over it time and time again. Like I said, Garrett Nussmeier, one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Caden Durham, one of the best freshmen in the country last year. I expect him to take even more of a step up. They have receivers that they could go 5 deep when we talk about Nick Anderson, one of the biggest transfers. Aaron Anderson, arguably the best receiver on their team last year, best deep threat. Barry Brown, another deep threat. Xavier Thomas, Chris Hilton Jr., they have 5 deep, like we said. The defense is where I think LSU is going to have some trouble. We've seen time and time again over the last 2 years, this defense has been really bad. Now, the only thing I can say about this defense, when you have 2 stars like Harold Perkins Jr. and like Whit Weeks, you have hope. Hopefully, the people around them could be better when you have 2 stars around them. But again, I don't trust it. Again, is this defense bad when you look at all the defense in the country? No. But for an SEC defense and for a college football playoff defense, I do think it's below average. And I do think that's going to be their Achilles heel. When we look at the schedule for LSU, like I said, they play Clemson. Very tough game there. Toughest out-of-conference game you could probably possibly get. When you get to Florida, that's going to be a tough game. I do think they're a better team, though. Ole Miss, South Carolina, Texas A&M, Alabama, Oklahoma. That's 7 tough games. They got to win at least 4 of them to make the college football playoffs. Is that possible? Yes. Do I think they're better than 4 of the teams they're playing out of 7? Probably. But 7 tough games is the most tough games we have seen so far over this Contenders Preview. There is definitely a world where LSU doesn't make the college football playoffs. I don't want to live in that world, though. LSU has a ridiculous high-flying offense, possibly the best offense in the country. I want to see them in there. It is going to be tough, though. Now we get into Georgia. I think Georgia is probably a shoo-in for the college football playoffs. I don't see a world where Georgia doesn't make the college football playoffs. My issue with Georgia, I have said it, I don't think they're a national championship contender with the offense they have. Do I think their defense is arguably the best in the country? Yes, their defense is always phenomenal, and I think it's going to be great this year. Do I think Kirby Smart, probably the best coach in the country? For sure. But the offense is where I have a ton of issue. I don't think Gunnar Stockton is a top 10 quarterback at all. I don't even think he's a top quarterback in the SEC. So, again, we saw a Notre Dame game where he could put no points on the board. We saw a Texas game where he couldn't really get much going either. He did get them the win. Gunnar Stockton's going to have to take a significant improvement for me to put them in national championship contention. And along with their weapons, like people gave Carson Beck so much flack, their weapons have to step up as well. Do I think they have people with potential? 100%. Oscar Delp could be one of the best tight ends in the country. Can he develop into that? We'll see. Zachariah Branch, a guy that I definitely think could be one of the best weapons in the SEC as well. One of the most explosive players in college football. But we have seen Zachariah Branch for 2 years, and his talent has not met his production. Can it happen with Kirby Smart? Yes, but somebody needs to take the jump on this offense. Nate Frazier as well has the opportunity to be one of the best players in the country with his talent, but we haven't seen it yet. There's nobody on this offense as a weapon that I truly trust, and I don't trust the quarterback in Gunnar Stockton. Will their defense and their coach lead them to the college football playoffs? 100%. But what's going to happen after that? When we look at their schedule, their tough games, when you get into Tennessee, pretty tough game. Alabama, Ole Miss, Florida, Texas. You play Texas and Alabama, that is actually pretty tough. You're going to try to not drop both of those games. 5 tough games. They're going to make it. We all know it. Let's move on. I made my point. I just don't think they're a contender. Now for my number 2 team, and that's championship contender. Now my number 2 team that I think is the second best team in college football in the SEC is Alabama. I really like Alabama last year, and if you guys have been following me for the last year, I did not like Alabama at all last year. This year, I really like them. When you look at Ty Simpson, I've said it, I think he's a better system fit for Kalen DeBoer than Jalen Milroe ever was. I think it was very tough for Kalen DeBoer to go from Michael Penix to Jalen Milroe. 2 completely different quarterbacks. Now I think you have another pocket passer in Ty Simpson. I like everything they have brought back. They have brought back their whole entire core. When you look at Ryan Williams, one of the best players in the country, I think he's going to take a huge jump in production. Jeremy Bernard, I think he's a great number 2 receiver. Jam Miller, I think he'd be one of the best running backs in the country. Now he's going to get more of a workload. With the defense, I think the defense brought back a lot of talent as well. Look at L.T. Overton, one of the best players in the country, along with Justin Jefferson. Xavier Brown was really good last year for them. Deontay Lawson, I think, is a really good transfer as well. This defense is going to be absolutely loaded. I think the offense is going to be really good. I think the receiving core, Isaiah Horton, should bring upside. And I really like Ryan Williams as one of the best players in the country. And Jeremy Bernard is a great number 2. Ty Simpson, I think, is going to be very good as well. For this Alabama team, I think they're the second most balanced team on offense and defense. I think they have legit threats on offense. And I think their defense is phenomenal. When we look at their schedule, they're tough matchups. Georgia's a tough matchup. Tennessee's a tough matchup. South Carolina, LSU, Oklahoma. 5 tough matchups. Again, I trust them to win at least 3 of those matchups. Kalen DeBoer, I think this is going to be probably the hungriest team in the country when you talk about Alabama. Kalen DeBoer's first year, Alabama missing a 12-team playoff is really a disgrace when you look at them being a lock for a 14 playoffs in the last 10 to 15 years. But again, I did not like the quarterback, Jalen Milroe. I think he was dealt a little bit of a tough hand for sure. Then when you get into Texas, I'm not even going to go over Texas' schedule and everything. Texas is the best team in the SEC, in my opinion. I think they're in a tier of their own. I think the offense is really good. When you look at the offensive line, the talent in the offensive line they were able to bring back. Arch Manning, do I have to say, we've been talking about Arch Manning every single day. I expect Arch Manning to have a huge year, be a top 3 quarterback in the country. I absolutely love their backfield. I think their backfield is super underrated. With Quadrivion Wisner, C.J. Baxter, I think they possibly have the second best backfield in the entire country. Ryan Wingo, I think, has top 5 upside as a receiver in college football. DeAndre Moore, I really like as a second receiver as well. Like there's not any more I could say about this team. When you look at the defense, they have 2 absolute stars in Anthony Hill Jr. and Colin Simmons, and they have a great defense around them as well. Steve Sarkisian, I trust as the coach. They are definitely the most balanced team, offense, defense, the talent they have on both sides of the ball. A lot to make the college football playoffs. I think they're going to win the SEC too. The only team I could see beating them is really Alabama. But again, I think this Texas team is going to be much improved. I think Arch Manning getting the range over Quinn Ewers. There's a lot more that he's going to do than Quinn Ewers. And again, I think the receiving core is really good. I think their running back room is probably the most underrated unit in the country. The defense is phenomenal. This team, I can't even say more about it. That wraps up our SEC preview. Comment below if you have any disagreements on this preview. And that's it. We are getting into college football week 1. We are finally here, guys. Continue to follow us for all your college football playoff news and content. We're going to get out a ton of content all year long for you guys. That wraps up this episode of Sloppy Saturday.